Welcome to another garden vlog. The mosquitoes are horrible today. It's kind of overcast, no rain yet, but you know that overcastness that sort of blocks a lot of the sun has just allowed these mosquitoes to come out extra early today. But check this out. Looks like this Christmas loquat is getting ready to bloom. And I think one of the other ones that I have in a raised bed number 1, age wood chip alternative beds, whatever you want to call them, mycorrhizal bed, is getting ready to bloom as well. And here is that one in that bed, the Shambhala or Chambala, which is most likely a Novak. So we acquired probably 150 pounds of this stuff here, and this is dried monitor lizard medium. So there's probably all kinds of stuff here. There's like partial eggshells because they fed this monitor eggs. There's poop. There's frass, insect frass, probably mealworms, superworm, crickets, and also they had live African and European red wiggler worms in here. So this is vermicompost, peat moss. It looks like some kind of wood chips there, maybe pine, I'm not sure. And as you can see, we got white and whatever brown eggshells, and there's a superworm beetle. Look at that, dead, long dead. And this isn't all of it. This is just one of the buckets, and it is bone dry. Imagine, when this was in there, monitor lizard cage, it probably kept pretty moist to keep the humidity up. So this could have been 300 pounds of, check out the dust that comes off of that. This could have been 200-300 pounds, with a lot of moisture in it. So this is concentrated. What is this going to do? Is this going to be like a compost? Is it going to help plants? I guess we'll see. And you might say, didn't we do something like this before? We did it with gecko lizard poop. Not monitor lizard poop and soil or whatever. We did it with gecko. So this is, way bigger lizard, way more waste. Should be way more nutrients in here. And this is the last of my unsifted, unfiltered, I think this is mealworm stuff here, mealworm frass. And you can see I fed them bananas. You'll probably see some orange peels or something in there, probably sweet potatoes, probably even find some banana stickers on some of these. I think I seen one earlier. Yep, right there's one. I think I'm fixing to put some of these withering flowers in the shade. They're not liking this strange weather, even though it's not as hot as like the midsummer was. And we got these cool nights and we have rain off and on, but they're still struggling. Anyway, back to the insect frass, the mealworm frass. I don't know if it was the beginning of this season or last season, we sort of experimented with that frass, putting like a tablespoon or something on a bunch of small potted plants, and I really did not see any significant growth differences or anything based on that versus the ones that didn't have any frass put on them. I knew that it's super popular for like marijuana. People buy the crap out of this insect frass, crickets or whatever, and they said, it's a great organic fertilizer. Anyway, we'll probably use it soon just to get rid of it, and it's probably helping some. It just isn't significant. The other day we did use this monitor lizard soil for quite a few little potted plants and stuff. Well, let's just see if we can find something else we can sprinkle some of this stuff around. This Camp pear that we kind of, we've been putting a lot of shavings and stuff from the guinea pig on there. This little palmetto tree here that's in this raised mycorrhizal bed. We got this totem pole bed with this mini oletangelo and the longevity spinach here. Looks like we got some jewels of opar, pineapple. This other really long bed where we had, what did we have here? Had a Meyer lemon, I think, there that died. Now it's an avocado there. And we got a little grocery store pineapple there. There is a tea plant right there. And obviously, we got this blood orange here. Kind of put some on the Swiss cheese plant that we planted on the south end of this big giant oak tree. Well, I emptied that bucket out, and for the most part, that's all I'm going to do with that bit. The rest is going to be likely just used for potting soil. You got like 4 or 5 big giant buckets here full. A lot. Check out this flat idler pulley on our riding mower. We've had so many problems with this mower here, and that's melted. It might have tore up our last belt, and we just got another belt, and I hope it didn't tear up the new one. But I have another idler pulley here coming today sometime via Amazon. Don't buy a used lawnmower. Just buy a new one. Get as much of warranty as you can afford. Check out these Floria Italian figs. They're getting some color on them, but that droop has just got me worried. So I'm bottom soaking it again and trying to see if we can keep it alive, healthy, and maybe those figs will ripen up in a day or two. At least those 2 bottom ones. I'm bottom soaking this Baldwin pear as well. I don't know if I said it on the last video, but this pear that we attached here, it's, let me see, scratch test. It's showing green, but I have a suspicion it's not going to push new buds out. That scion wood piece is definitely shriveling up, and it could be from this droughty weather. So, do we have a specific topic today? Is it that lizard, medium? Is it the insect frass? Anything else? I think I kind of woke up this morning and I thought, well, we could talk about the possibility of, selling persimmon fruits in the future. And I haven't really thought about it the same way as I've thought about selling citrus until we just had these last season or two of bad, citrus, just not getting enough citrus on our trees to sell versus that season before where we made quite a bit of money. So I don't think I could ever do like a U-pick, persimmons, muscadines, whatever, just because, my property has tools and dangerous stuff all over it. It's like an active farm, working farm, or previously working farm everywhere. I have freaking feed buckets, and I got machetes that I keep, just around the yard, all kinds of stuff. So with that being said, there's nothing to stop us from selling fruits. So what are the biggest obstacles with persimmons? So we know that persimmons, if we can get them to be healthy and become vigorous wherever we plant them, and they're not always healthy everywhere we plant them. I've had failures and deaths. I've had ones just failed to grow or thrive and last a few years. I've had some not last more than a year or two. I think my longest one I planted out near those sweet gum patches, and I think the root density was so bad there that it just couldn't get a hold. I think I had a Rojanka or something out there, which is a hybrid between American and Asian persimmons. And even some of the ones that I planted over the last year or two, they're alive. One of them, I think, is an American persimmon that maybe at the nursery the graft didn't take and they sold it anyway, and I didn't realize it at the time. Another one is not doing too good. Then that third one looks like it's doing pretty good. So, you know, you have a big expense if you have to buy these already grafted and then take a chance. They also are not as easy to graft as pawpaws and probably pears and apples and stuff like that. So that's kind of a drawback. So you may have to put more time and get more experience with it and more money, you know, by keep trying and trying and trying again to get rootstocks or seeds, as we are just now this season doing. Whether you call it climate change, warming, something has also changed the seasons. So sometimes in August, I think we get persimmons now instead of December. And now it's the first part of September and persimmons are ripening for us. So, you know, it's very strange, and you never know when, I guess, you're going to get persimmons and how long is the season. Are there enough types or cultivars of persimmons to spread that 1 month or whatever to 2 or 3 months out of the year to have a sustained harvest for long enough to make it profitable? Next, there are diseases that persimmons get that a lot of other trees around here get, including the red maple, sweet gums. I looked it up a few months back and talked about it. I can't remember exactly what this disease or whatever it was called, but it hits a lot of plants. And there's also boring insects that can kill off pear trees, jujubes, and all kinds of stuff too. I think pawpaws, and I want to say persimmons, most likely. So you got a lot of issues here with trying to establish an orchard before you see a dime. And you may have hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in a very small orchard before you start getting, you know, $50 here, $100 there back. First persimmon cultivar was a Tananashi, and it had so much vigorous growth, and then it would drop all of its fruit, and then it would have either an okay harvest or a terrible harvest at the end of the, you know, every season or whatever. And then it just kind of got that disease, lost a lot of limbs until it kind of shrunk over time, maybe a period of 10 or 15 years before, you know, its last limb or trunk fell and nothing came back. Not even the root suckers. So the lesson learned there is you need to have backups, I think, of every type, especially if you do get one that does pretty well. Fuyu, Seijo, or Saijo. I just didn't have a lot of luck with that Tananashi. There probably are orchards where somebody just contacts a nursery and say, hey, what if I buy, you know, 50 or 100 or 500 of your grafted persimmons, pre-order it for the next season or something? Will you give me a discount? You know, maybe they'll get a slight discount or something by doing that, but still they're going to pay quite a bit of money to have somebody grow a seedling, you know, cold stratify it, collect it, cold stratify it, you know, grow it out 2 years, graft it, maybe grow it out another 6 months or a year or two to have, you know, something that has a decent amount of size on it and is ready to fruit shortly. It's possible that you could do something similar with pears, even though, yeah, they get those boring insects and diseases, and you know, you need your backups. And the first Baldwin pear that we planted in this yard took like 8 or 10 years to start producing fruit. So you better have backups. So if you spend that much time on a tree and it gets diseased and you have to chop it down or something, you have plenty of others to try to make money with. The good news is pears and apples and stuff, like I said, are so much easier to graft successfully. But can you do that with loquats? I have a feeling if you take a bunch of loquat fruits to a fruit market, most people are going to laugh in your face. They're going to say, these things grow everywhere. I can go down the sidewalk on such and such street and just pick as much as I want for free. Mulberries, probably same way, and they probably don't last very long, you know, on the shelf. They probably have a very short shelf life once you pick. Pawpaws are known to have a short shelf life. You have to kind of pick them on whatever the day before you're going to take them to market, and within 2 or 3 days of not being in the refrigerator, they're probably going to be rotten. Persimmons have a little bit better shelf life. You can pick them early, and you know, depending on how early you pick them, put them on the shelf or somewhere in a basket to ripen, and it might take a week or two for everything to ripen up. So that gives you that long to sell them. Apples are so disease plagued in this far southeast in Florida. You know, it's not a viable option, and our apples, for the most part, everyone I've tried, were inferior to even grocery store apples. So you have citrus with a good shelf life, persimmons with a decent shelf life, and pears with a decent shelf life. And if you go outside of that too much, you're going to look at annual stuff like watermelons, squash, pumpkins, not these fruiting trees. It's been a few hours. We got a few light rains, and I decided to repot some of these American persimmons. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think we did 11 in individual gallon pots. And I left the big one in that 3-gallon or whatever it is there. But I did pull the roots up higher from the bottom of the pot and sort of repotted it in there so it has more room to grow downward and around the pot, instead of going straight into the ground and being stressed out or something as we move the pot. Check out this pluot. Full freaking bloom again. Tons and tons of flowers. This is like the 5th or more times it's bloomed this season. Got some Mexican petunias in bloom here. A lot of people love to hate on these because they're invasive, but a lot of herbivore reptiles and stuff, they love eating these, and omnivores. I don't think humans can eat them. I'm not sure why, but I would imagine chickens and everything would peck these guys. Pokeweed berries. But it's been a day or two since I was talking about repotting these persimmons here, and I did put some of that medium lizard poop medium soil on top of them guys. Gave it a little water, and we got a couple light rains after. It's early in the morning. I went to bed about 2 a.m. and woke up at about 6:15, 6:30. So I haven't had a lot of sleep. Floria Italian figs have definitely perked up quite a bit, even though they're kind of going into fall mode. But what's weird is they kind of plumped up with water, I guess, and they hardened. So I guess the figs weren't quite ready, ripe. You know, if you felt them before I bottom soaked them for a day or two, they seemed to be kind of soft, but maybe it was just lack of water. No signs so far of these air layered citrus pushing out some new buds or anything yet. Looks like some of the top on that one is dying. So even though we had successful roots, who knows if the transplant is it going to survive. That jujube lost all of its leaves. All we can do is hope for the best, but we may not be successful. And of course, just an hour or two later, I come over here and 2 or 3 of these figs have been pulled off by one of the kids. Of course, they're all not me. I didn't do it. But these guys were not ripe. Got 2 left, 2 more chances. Well, it's been another couple of days since I worked on this video, and I've noticed a lot of these transplants, avocados and jackfruit, a few of these are just looking not so great. So probably the best idea when you plant avocado seeds and white sapotes and stuff like that, jackfruit, is to put them in an individual pot so you're not disturbing and pulling apart and breaking roots when you're trying to separate them from each other. I've been looking around this kind of overgrown area where the old Tennessee avocado pawpaw tree has used to grow before it died and used to sucker around here. It'd be hard to tell if there was a small sucker here, but we do have the one where that graft failed after years and years. Actually, the graft didn't fail. Eastern lover grasshoppers got it, and they got off every bud from that graft, which was right there. And now the rootstock is taking over again. I'm thinking maybe when this goes dormant, we're going to dig that sucker up. It's too close to the home anyway, and majorly prune it, and maybe try to graft like we did that sunflower, but keep some of the original stalk. So have like a 2 plant in one scenario. But we know, based on my experiences of transplanting root suckers, is that small ones always die for me, even if they look like they're alive for a while. And the only one that I got that was big is still alive. But we did have to do major pruning, of the limbs. So far, I don't notice any more root suckers other than the set here that, we grafted on this guy, 3 or 4 grafts that are taking. And this is all rootstock here on this part. So plus we have 1 or 2 or 3 grafts from this guy to other ones. So we have our Tennessee avocado pawpaw backed up. If we take the other one and it doesn't make it, that's okay. We have several backups. Separated a couple of these red mulberries, which I guess are rubra, ex alba hybrids most likely. So white and red crosses, not true reds, but the fruit on them are red, and they have a more tangy versus insipidly sweet flavor, so more kind of raspberry-like. Going back to these recently transplanted avocados, white sapote, jackfruit, all that stuff, we need to make sure we can't donate them when they look so bad. That one's probably dead or dying right there, so we got to go look. These guys look pretty bad too. Go scope out areas where we're definitely going to plant some more avocados and inventory everything and try to make sure we got some to donate to the local garden community. But we do have some Celeste figs ready. We got some dwarf everbearing mulberries ready. We have some white sapotes ready. And hopefully these American persimmons that we recently transplanted, we're going to wait for these guys to perk up a little bit better and make sure they're going to be okay. Some jewels of opal and Suriname spinach most likely ready, and a few of these jaboticabas, probably 1 or 2 sabaras, probably 3, 4, 5 red hybrids. Probably got a few of these Suriname cherries ready, a few of these loquats, some of this Kenoff hibiscus, starting some of these thornless prickly pear cactuses here, as well as at least one. It was this 4 o'clocks, 5 o'clocks, whatever they're called. They flower, sometime in the afternoon or evening. Maybe 1 or 2 walking irises. Got some taro ready. There's beauty berries there. They need to be separated. I was originally going to just ask somebody just separate them all for me, but seeing that they can get a pretty good transplant shock, I'm probably just wait till I get some extra pots and just pot them individually and see how they do first. Got a couple of these blue sages to take. Not many took. Got a few of these everbearing mulberry number 2 seedlings. Can't tell if there's just 2 there or 5. Probably need to let these guys grow a little bit more, but that guy there is probably ready. I know the last 5 or 6 or whatever videos we've been saying we're going to wind down for the season soon. So we are winding down. This is the last minute things that we're thinking of doing or trying or need to do. And as I talked about in, maybe a few months ago in a video, not everything we plan to do has happened. Not everything is going to happen. So we're just trying to get through till whenever it ends, whether it's the end of September in, beginning, middle, end of October. I don't know yet. But when we have all the content we think we can put out for you guys for the season, we will end it there. And the great thing that almost guarantees you guys that we'll have another gardening vlog season is things like putting those avocados and white sapotes out there and a variety of other things, planting them in the ground unprotected and waiting to see if they survive and thrive. We still don't know if those air layered plants that had those nice bundle of roots on them are going to take or not, and we may not know that until next season. What do we have here? So I didn't even plan this, but I think we're going to do a Mexican lager here at the end of this garden vlog. So this is Dos Equis and Lager Especial. 4.2% alcohol, 12 ounces. So I guess this is episode 2 of our Mexican lager journey. And doesn't smell like much on the nose, very light smelling. And we didn't really do one with the Modelo Negra, although we kind of showcased it and talked about it, a little bit. But the first episode we did the Corona Familiar, which is pretty much like a Modelo Negra. Maybe not if you take them side by side, but if you drink them a few months apart, you're going to say this is familiar for sure. Very light. So, this is premium Mexican lager. Probably a lot of them say that. We use premium ingredients, but it kind of reminds me of a light beer. Kind of reminds me of that Stella Artois. Even though Stella Artois isn't light and this one isn't light, it has the light flavor. And doesn't really have much, if any, bitterness to it. So I've kind of wondered if you take that hoppy bitterness out of beer, what's left. And this is kind of it. And I think this is my favorite, even compared to the Belgian style wheat beers. I'm going to say it. Not a lot of flavor. And very refreshing. Wish it had a little bit more alcohol in it. It definitely does not have that funk that Stella Artois has, in the smell and the flavor department. Again, when I try to smell it, I don't really smell too much. I can't say there's a light corn smell or a light beer smell or anything. No sulfur, nothing. I mean, there's something there, but I just can't tell what it is. Now, I wonder if they could amp up the flavor without amping up the bitterness. So we're coming from sort of a background of not really liking the taste of beer. Maybe if you love the taste of beer and you like that hoppy flavor, you're going to go with something like an amber or dark ale or something. I think there's some blonde ales that use spices instead of hops to get that bitterness back and to minimize the hop usage. Your ale lager journey is not that far along. The ones that I really don't think I would buy again would be some that maybe other people say is like some of the best, like the Modelo Negra. A little bit too bitter, different. Your palate changes throughout the day or depending on what you've eaten and drinking. Sometimes I would drink that and not find a lot of bitterness, that in my palate. Other times it was too bitter. And I would imagine like the Corona Familiar is about the same. So the Sam Adams Summer Ale and Corona Familiar and Modelo Negra are ones I probably would not buy if I had other options. Some of the ones I've enjoyed so far, I think this Dos Equis is the one I've enjoyed the most. The Brewmasters wasn't that bad, surprisingly. The light, what was it? Premier Light and the Mango Wheat Ale wasn't too bad. And you may ask, if you've watched our tequila journeys and everything else, well, if you find something that you like, why don't you just stick with it? You know, if we did that, you know, that's okay. If we did it, we wouldn't be able to, you know, afford to or venture out and see if there's something better or something more economical that is just as enjoyable. I could have stopped, for example, on my tequila journey with Painted Donkey Blanco, or maybe El Mayor Blanco, and been just fine. But, you know, on our last episode, we bought this 512 Añejo, and it kind of blew me away. Unfortunately, I think that they may be taking that out of all the big chain stores in Florida. So for whatever reason, maybe just not a good seller here. Maybe people haven't gave it a good shot, because it wasn't on my radar at all until I found it on clearance. I think we're probably only going to do one or two more wheat beers in season 1. There may not even be a season 2, like the Belgian style beer. And we definitely probably have a lot more to go on the Mexican lager journey. You know, I need to try Rio. I need to try the citrus Corona, Pacifico, and a few others. Now, Natalie was supposed to do a bourbon or rum or bourbon and rum journey adventure, but I think she sort of decided not to. So I think most likely I'm going to be doing a few bourbon videos myself in the future, and I think the first one may be a battle of the young bourbons, so bourbons under 4 years old. And I'll say this, just because a bourbon is young doesn't make it cheap on the market. There are young bourbons that are probably $10 a bottle, and then there are young bourbons that are probably $50, $60, $70 or more.